Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host. My name is Karolina, and I'm the connection catalyst and the manifestation mentor. Today on the show, we have Carlos Henry, the personal development guru and motivational speaker. Welcome to the show, Carlos. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm always great. Never had a bad day in my life. Thank you for getting me on your show. I appreciate it.
You're always great. That's good. That's why you're a motivational speaker, right? Like that's the trait that motivational speakers have to have.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All the time.
Amazing. I love your vibes. I love your positivity. It's really overflowing to me, and I'm sure to everyone who listens as well. That's awesome. So, I would love to start with a little bit of your backstory. What has inspired you in your life to be on this path of personal development, to become a guru of personal development as well, and to become a motivational speaker? Like, what has started this journey, and how did it unfold for you?
Well, I say it started really, back when I was in high school, when I first, because people don't like to say this a lot, and I know this may sound a little controversial, but a lot of times pastors and churches, they're nothing more than motivational speakers anyway, right? So I kind of got introduced into motivational speaking through that, right? I started going to church probably when I was about 17 or 18 years old. I started just going to church with my friends because that's what was the thing, the norm. And I wasn't going to it, before then. And then all of a sudden, I met this mentor of mine. His name's Duran Highland, and he just questioned my way of thinking. I was just, this is just, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm Christian. I'm Christian. I go to church. I listen to the pastor. I go there every Sunday. And he was just sitting there, and he would just ask me, like, okay, what does it mean to be Christian? And I sat there and really thought about it, and I didn't know. He asked me, did you ever even open up the Bible and read it yourself? And I thought, nah, I never done that before. But I was just saying that I was. So then I really started getting that level of skepticism, which is healthy, to go and research for my own information. And as I started doing it, I started to see things in my life just shift. I obviously stepped away from Christianity and started stepping into like a spiritual mindset. And then he just kept feeding me information. So that's really where I guess it really started with my getting into the personal development. And that was I'm 25 now. So that was like 7 years ago.
Whoa, that's cool. So it started with church, which is kind of a interesting start, right?
Yeah, yeah. Real interesting. Real interesting.
That's awesome, man. But you have a really good, positive energy and you're 25 years old. So where are you from and where do you live? Where was your church?
Yeah. So the church that I was going to was in Wilmington, Delaware. It was called Mount Sinai. I'm from Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, which is kind of close if you're familiar. It's like 20 minutes outside of Philly, 20, 30 minutes outside of Philly. Yeah, it wasn't the best place to grow up, right? So Wilmington, Delaware actually was number one for death per capita before 18, the age of 18. So it was actually really difficult to make it to 18 years old
Wow.
living out there. Yeah. So seeing all that stuff, it just made me see what not to do, and the things that I see my parents and, go through and all that. It just made me get into my own path. And I've always been that guy that's just like, I'm starting my own trend type of thing.
Awesome. That's why you're a guru now.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So why is it so? Is it so dangerous there? Like is it so just culturally like dark?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is dangerous. It was more dangerous if you were out of what we call the mix, like if you wasn't really in the city and doing illegal things, you were pretty much good for the most part. But a lot of times people were, because Wilmington, Delaware was everything that was happening in Philadelphia was happening in Wilmington, but it was smaller. So that's why it was just so much where like you could get through Wilmington probably in like 25 minutes. You could go from one end to the other just driving. So, but it was like that because of just like culture. So I don't like to throw this out there a lot crazy, but African American communities a lot of times, especially in the United States, when they put a lot of African Americans together, you'll see that the community is usually poverty, a lot of gang violence, a lot of food stamps, and then you see a Chinese store on every corner, no healthy eating things, no libraries. There's actually one library in Wilmington, Delaware, in the center of the city. That's it. So it's like, well, at least as far as I've been to. So the resources aren't really there as much. Now, I don't say that's an excuse because I was able to still make it out of there. But I would say that the resources aren't there as much. So that's one of my goals, is to just create like a Wall Street just for us, and really just bring, the resources to the community. And then you have a better choice. I mean, you always have a choice, but it's just sometimes you have to stray off a path, which I see that as an advantage, because you get to put like a chip on your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, speaking of this, I would love to ask you these questions because I was just thinking about it today. What do you think that is the impact of religion and the culture on one's personal development? Because I feel like it's actually like either, as you said, opening some doors in your mind, right? Or closing them, depending on how you were brought up and where have you been brought up. Although I personally believe that everyone has chances, everyone has choices to take, and everyone has potential to make their life better. But obviously for some people it would require more, like maybe harder decisions, or some big shifts in their life. So what do you think is the influence of the culture and religion, and how we can really go about it?
So I think that yes, it has some impact on it. Now it's not the end all be all, but it does have some impact on it, because if you think of a flower, right? When a flower is growing, you put the seed in there, and if you don't give it sunlight, you put it in a dark room and you don't water it or anything like that, the flower's not going to grow. You know what I mean? The environment plays a big part of that, but it needs that proper sunlight. It needs that proper water, the proper amount of oxygen to grow. So your environment is majority of your thing. So if you're surrounded by that stuff, it's really difficult for you to grow if that's what you're surrounding. Now, the way to get out of that, or at least in my aspect, was I had to create the environment that I wanted to be in. So yeah, stepping outside the house was terrible. Gang violence, shootings, all that stuff. But in my own room, I have vision boards. I have a library of books. I created the environment around me. Anything that made me get better to being on my path to being the best motivational speaker and personal development guru ever. Anything get me on that path is in my room. I'm listening to Tony Robbins every day, listening to Eric Thomas, Les Brown, all those guys, just looking at them, putting them on my list. Okay, these are the guys I got to beat. Every single day, I created that environment for myself. Now, some people might not have that stronger willpower. So the way to change it is really to just give back to the community, which is what I do. I donate 5% of my income to One Step at a Time. They're out here giving food drives for kids, podcasts, teaching them about financial literacy, getting books to them and stuff. I'm going back to talk to a couple of schools that I went to as well when I was younger, just trying to get back some and put those resources in front of their face in order to help them grow. So that's really how you do it from a cultural standpoint. Now, from a religious standpoint, religion, I always say not to be religious, but to be spiritual, because sometimes religion almost traps you in, because that's what I was in until my mentor had me thinking on another level. Religion is just a pastor reading small little scriptures, or, depending on the religion, I can only speak for Baptists. They're just reading off the little scriptures and telling you, this is what you need to do. This is what it says. But then there were so many things that I had to question, you know what I mean? Like the Bible, this is not the full Bible. You know what I mean? There's the Apocrypha. There's so much information missing. Then the Bible's not literal. Then it was translated from Hebrew into English. So it's a lot of things are there to just trap you, but it's just a matter of what's your level of skepticism. Are you going to go and do the research yourself, or are you just going to listen to what someone's saying? So that's coming down to you just straight willpower. Like that's why my motto is winners win and losers lose. If you're a winner, you're going to find a way to win. You're going to find the information. But if you're a loser, then you're just going to sit there and make everything else it's everybody else's fault. It's everything else's fault. So that's how I look at it from a cultural and religious standpoint.
Thanks for sharing that. And I like what you said about winners are going to win and losers are going to lose. But actually, from a loser, you can become a winner if you just set your mindset in a correct way, right? Because there are a lot of people who are in the victim mode right now, but then they, for example, go to the Tony Robbins event, or maybe they meet a coach and then they change the beliefs, and then they just realize, oh my God, I've been in my victim mode for my whole life, but now I feel like I can create my life and I can actually choose my thoughts, choose my emotions, and choose my environment. So I'm not powerless to my conditions. I actually can create this. And you're a perfect example of that, right? You're not powerless to the surroundings. Even if you can create the surroundings in your own room, this is where you have your own bubble. This is what you focus on, where your focus goes, your energy goes. This is what you're also going to create for yourself. So it's 100%. Actually it's not we have faith to be a loser or anything like that. We can always change it. And people like me and you, I guess we are here to remind other people of that we can create the life of our dreams. And so,
100%.
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's really, really cool. And so speaking of entrepreneurs, because like you said that you help young entrepreneurs and minorities as well. And so do you feel like there is a difference when it comes to, again, like culture, but also the country, that like in some countries it would be easier for young entrepreneurs to just go on and like fulfill their dreams and, be on the path in comparison to the others? And if yes, then what countries you feel like it's actually easier, or like they are like supportive to that?
Yeah. I can't speak for a lot of other countries, but I do know some friends that live outside of the US. Obviously, in the US, if you telling me I could just, this is what ET says, if you telling me I could just wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be a millionaire, that's amazing, right? So in the US, there is a lot of, especially it's a growing entrepreneurial type of country. So I feel like it is easy to be an entrepreneur in the US. But then I feel like it goes back again to your environment, right? Are you going to make that an excuse to why you can't grow, right? Or are you going to build the environment that you want? But there are, like you said, there's third world countries, there's things like that are actually pushing some people back. I mean, I went to Jamaica on vacation. I'm just driving by, I'm seeing kids run around with no shoes on, just jean shorts, no shirt, nothing. Houses that don't even have no doors, no ceiling. But then I'm looking too. There's parts in the U.S. like that too. You know what I mean? Camden, Delaware, they don't even have doors on the front. Don't even have front doors. So it's like it's just, yes, there is. It's going to be some type of. There's always going to be a challenge, but you got to look at you have to be grateful for the challenge and see what you can learn from that to then take you over the edge to make you a winner. That's how I see it for anything.
Yeah, I feel you. And actually, it's an interesting conversation to have, because I think 2 days ago or one day ago, I posted this reel that just went a little bit more viral than normal. And it was about working light and working smart, not working hard. Because I said, like, you don't have to work hard necessarily to get your goals. You need to work maybe sometimes smart, but like I believe you can work light if you're in alignment with yourself, if you really are doing what your heart desires, if you're really motivated, if you have the right mindset. You don't have to actually overwork yourself and work 12, 14 hours a day to make a lot of money, right? And then I got this comment of like, yeah, but not everyone has the same, environment and so on. And I'm like, yeah, sure, not everyone has the same, of course, families or money situation or whatever, but I really believe that there are people who were homeless and they are now millionaires, right? There are examples of people like that, or people who are really sick and then they got healthy. So it means that there are possibilities for us that we might not see because of our patterns, because of our programs, our boxes that we have in our mind. But I truly believe that everyone, unless they are like disabled or they have like mental illness or, like some physical disability, everyone is able to create the life of their dreams if they just put enough energy and focus into that. And so I'm really curious about your perspective on it, because I think that just kind of tailors into our conversation today.
No, 100%. Are you familiar with Inky Johnson?
No, I don't think
Inky Johnson. He has one arm, and he's one of the top motivational speakers in the world. There's a guy who's another motivational speaker. He has no arms or legs.
Yeah, he's was there the one speaker that was at Tony Robbins events?
Yeah, he has no arms. Yep. And then there's another guy, no arms and no legs, and he still is a motivational speaker. So yeah, even the physical disability, now mental disability, it may be more difficult, but even with physical disability, everything you create the path. It's called think and grow rich, not work hard and grow rich, not do thinking. It's your sixth sense, right? You can change your thought into whatever you want to do. It just starts by asking yourself the right questions. Because if you ask yourself the right questions, then you start seeking those type of answers. And when you seek those type of answers, that's just, it turns into the person you are, which defines your destiny, right? So that's why I say, when you ask, who am I? It's what kind of questions I always ask people, what questions do you ask yourself? Do you speak to yourself at all? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, it may be, all right, how can I get by on this check? They're thinking that question. Of course, it's all going to be about how can I get by on this check? But if they think, how can I get more money while working, not as hard? Now they're going to seek that answer by taking certain actions. So it's all about changing the questions that you're asking yourself. That's all it is.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Thanks for that. And I would love to hear more questions that you would ask, let's say, young entrepreneurs who are just starting and you would like them to think more about where they want to be in their life. So what would you ask them?
So it's funny. Hold on, I gotta look at my notes because I literally was just talking about this the other day. Where's it
Oh,
at?
cool.
But it's literally. But the thing is this, right? So the first question I asked them, because I had this challenge, right? We called the 2.0 challenge, where I help people in 1 month achieve all their goals in a quarter of the time. And we also, do different things to make ourselves unrecognizable, like drink a gallon of water a day, work out for 45 minutes, all that stuff. So there's different types of goals. It's A goals, B goals, and C goals. Now I'm trying to see if I remember this correctly because I literally put it in my notes somewhere, but of course I can't see it right now. So A goal, it's right here, right? So an A goal is a goal that you know how to reach. So for example, do you have a car?
I have it in Poland, my mom's car. Yeah.
Okay, but you had a car before, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So you have a car and you're like, okay, cool. I want to buy a car. That's an A goal. You bought a car before, so you know how to do it, that's fine, right? That's cool. Then there's B goals, right? There's a lot of times it's what we think we can do. So if I asked you, how much money you want to make this year, some people I actually asked this to one of my people, the people in my group, and they just said simply, I just want to make $2,000 a month. And I was like, okay, $2,000 a month, right? That's what, 24K a year. Okay, you want to do that, right? That's what you think you could do. And then there's C goals, which are the ones you really want to accomplish. So I actually asked them, what would you do if you could get paid for anything you wanted to do in the world and there was no influence or nothing? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I said the number one motivational speaker ever. I don't know how I'm going to get there. If you know how you're going to achieve your goals, that's a problem. It's too small. It is, because big goals create big motivation. So if I know how I'm gonna accomplish my goal, it's too small for me. All right, I'm gonna be the number one ever. I'm talking about ever. I want them to talk about me forever and ever and ever. I'm in the history books and everything. I don't know how I'm achieve that goal, but every single day I'm working towards it. I keep asking my question, self, how can I achieve this goal? How can I achieve this goal? All right, cool. I just, published my book yesterday, Winners Win, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm the author now. All right, now, so I gotta do this challenge. Okay, no, now I gotta create the subscription. I gotta do this newsletter. It's always, I don't know how I'm gonna achieve it, but every single day I'm working towards it. That's the type of goals you need to accomplish. C type goals. So yeah, that's something I got from Bob Proctor too. Shout out to him.
That's really awesome. I love these A, B, and C goals. And yeah, that's what actually creates the drive, right? But what about these people who get overwhelmed by these C goals? They're like, oh my God, I don't know how it's going to happen. And, because some people can be overwhelmed by the biggest goals and they can be like, okay, if it's a goal A or B, I can do it. So then they actually feel like better about it because then they're not kind of, just overwhelmed with all the things that they don't really know how to do.
I got the answer to that already. I knew that was going to come up. Gratitude, right? Gratitude. Big goals create big motivation, right? So if I say I'm shooting to buy a new car, I might not buy the car I want, but I might buy a car though, right? So shoot for the stars, you get the moon. But a lot of times people miss gratitude. Every month at the last day of the month, I spend 10 minutes straight just talking about what I accomplished the previous month. I don't care what it was. It could have been, okay, cool. Me and my wife went out to eat 4 times a week. Like that's something that I remember 4 times this month. That's something that I wanted to accomplish this month and I did it. If you miss out on the gratitude part, you can never know where you're going until you remember where you came from. You can't do it, right? So it's not so much about accomplishing a goal. It's about who I become on the journey. That's all it is. So yeah, I do think people should just keep throwing seagulls out there. But the thing is, I think they need to take time every single month, maybe even every week, every single day. I'm doing it too when I'm meditating to really just show gratitude to where you came from, where you were. You know what I mean? That I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm like, dang, I was broken. I was homeless and I was sleeping out of, in cars and, I was taking showers at the YMCA gym. I was doing all that stuff. And now I have my own condo. I'm married at 25 years old. You know what I mean? It's like I'm an author. Like no one from where I'm from is saying this. Like no one from where I'm from is an author. They're not going, oh, wow, that's all they were saying. This is crazy. That's different. I've never seen no one do that. Come on now, that's great. That's gratitude. You just gotta show gratitude for that. But I'm still shooting for that seagull. So that's my answer to that. You just gotta show gratitude.
Yeah, I resonated with it at all so much because I feel like gratitude is just opening us up to more gratitude, right? So if we feel gratitude, it's where our focus goes. So then our life really brings us more and more things to be grateful for. And it's as simple as that. It's just the law of mirroring, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, but it really actually works. And some people like to use a gratitude journal. Some people like to use like a stone in their pocket to, when they take it out, they remember about it, right? Some people have like, I don't know, bracelet reminding of gratitude or whatever, but I feel like this is one of the best practices that we can do. And for me, I have manifested things in my life thanks to gratitude that are insane. Like, seriously, even yesterday I had a situation, it was actually a funny situation, where we were in an Airbnb with my mom and my stepfather, and my stepfather went out for a drink, and me and my mom went out to the balcony, and we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a jacket even, because we went out just for a moment, and the door was closed, and we were just locked on the balcony, like, and we were just like, oh, and my mom was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? We're gonna spend the night here, like, oh my God. I'm like, Mom, just chill out, just sit down and be grateful that we are out, okay? Just sit down and be grateful. And then I started like shouting in Spanish, but I don't really speak Spanish, but we're in Spain, so I had to shout in Spanish that I need help. And then we were just like there, and my mom is so stressed. I'm like, Mom, just please focus on the connection to your soul, be grateful, and that's it. And I kid you not, I was just like shouting, and like, no one could hear me because we were on the side of the block where there was literally no one and no one on the street and whatever. But then I was like, okay, screw it, I'm just going to sit down and be grateful. And I just sat down, and I was just grateful for someone just, being there and helping us, and for my stepfather coming home and unlocking it. And literally within minutes, there was a couple on the street that we called, and then we shouted the number, and they called my stepfather. And it was a funny situation because he literally thought that we are like pranking him, that it's not true, that how can we like lock ourselves on the balcony? Like, what the hell? No keys, no phone, nothing, right? Some random Swedish number is just calling him, and then he's like, what the hell? But then he heard our voices in the background, fortunately, and he's like, oh shit, okay, they are actually locked there. So, he had to like call the Airbnb person, and the taxi had to bring us the key, and then this whole situation. But my point was like, and I was explaining to my mom as well, like, look how gratitude changed the situation, changed the energy. When my mom was like nervous and, it was like super anxious and stuff, nothing could move. But then when we both centered ourselves and we were just grateful for the thing already happening, and I was just like feeling how I'm on the sofa and I'm so warm already, and I'm just so good. Then within minutes, literally, someone was there. And then I was also presenting this perspective as I felt like I'm a cell in the body of God. I'm a cell in the body of the universe. So if I'm the cell and I need something, it's not like in the body, the cell has to tell the other cell, like, this is what I need, right? It just happens. It's a natural, it's a body. So it's just communication between cells. So I was like, okay, I'm the cell that needs the keys right now. So then there has to be some other cell in this body of the universe that will enable me to do this. And then within an hour, we were in the apartment again, right? So, and it's a crazy situation because it could go in many different ways. Like my mom already was like, oh my God, I left the key in the door. What if he cannot put the key in because the key is in the door? And some doors, when you have the key from the inside, you can't do it from the outside. And, all worried about it. But then gratitude opened us up to this reality where it was just resolved, like almost instantly, right? So I'm just a big believer of gratitude, and thank you for mentioning it, because like this story is just one of many that shows that like centering yourself in your gratitude, in your openness, in your joy, in your love, whatever it is, can actually bring results like way faster and way smoother, like in the ways that you can never expect, right?
100%. You're right. Everything you say. When you said, and I like what you said, I sat down and I just relaxed, because a lot of times that's just fear. Fear is just our imagination creating the worst case scenario. It didn't even happen yet. You didn't stay out there. You didn't starve all night. You didn't have to sleep at it. None of that happened yet. You were just thinking that stuff, and what you think you start focusing on. But when you sat down, you're just like, all right, I'm just going to relax. Everything worked out. So I'm glad you got inside and you didn't freeze to death.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny story though, because my mom was like freaking out, but then she got relaxed, and then she was laughing at it, obviously. But I'm like, look, Mom, how many thoughts you already had about the situation, right? That we're gonna like freeze here, or that you don't have anything, and he's not gonna answer the phone. Maybe he is too drunk to even answer. Maybe the number was wrong, and I don't remember the number well, and all these things downward spiral, right? But then when we just stopped it and we were able to just relax, it was all good. So it's just a little story to prove you guys the concept that we were talking about. But I would also love to touch upon the skills, because I know that you're teaching the entrepreneurial and high income skills. And that's what I actually am really interested and curious to know. What, in your perspective, are the most important high income skills, especially for young entrepreneurs that are just starting out?
Yeah. So it goes, really is three, but three of them, they all go hand in hand. A lot of times with high income skills, they all go hand in hand. But the number one is how to effectively communicate, which is, persuasion or sales, right? Or closing. That's the most high income skill you can learn, because every day of your life, you're trying to persuade someone in some way, right? When you have a partner, you're persuading them to want to be with you for the rest of your life. You're trying to get a job interview, you're persuading them you're the right candidate. Every single thing you do every single day is about persuading people. So to understand how to effectively communicate and the perfect way to persuade is definitely one of them. And a lot of guys that I read, that I learn a lot from when it comes to persuasion is, obviously I took some Dan Lok courses, Grant Cardone. These guys are really, really strong with sales. Now, the second one is copywriting. And copywriting goes in hand with the third one, which was marketing, because marketing is all copywriting plus math, really. So copywriting really is honestly the skill that changed my life personally, because I realized everything is copy. You know how in those kung fu movies, for example, you ever seen the Karate Kid?
Yes, I've seen some of it.
So he on the new Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, he told him, okay, he had Jackie Chan teaching him how to fight, and for the first month, he just had him pick his jacket up, put it on the hanger, take it off, put it. He kept doing that.
Wash the car or something, right?
Yeah, and next with the car and all stuff, he's just like, just do that. He's like, jacket on, jacket off. Don't forget attitude. Kept telling him to do those things, and Jaden Smith was getting frustrated because he was thinking, why am I keep doing this thing every single day? You're not no real karate teacher. You don't know what you're doing. And then eventually Jackie Chan just attacked them, and he just goes, okay, he just starts hitting all this stuff. He's like, whoa, I didn't even know I could do all of that stuff. But the point of the matter is, right, is that he started to talk about how Kung Fu is everything. Kung Fu is you putting the jacket on, taking the jacket off, you in the attitude, you opening the door, you close the door, whatever it is. And that's the idea to begin about copywriting. Copywriting is everything. Everything to the point where it's just the name of whatever this podcast is copywriting, because it's trying to take someone's attention. All it is in copywriting, all it is, again, goes back to sales. All this is persuading someone on paper. That's it. That's all it is. How can you persuade someone to take an action through the written word? That's all copywriting is. So those were like the two ones that were just, oh, you have to learn this. You have to learn. So I just stood there, jacket on, jacket off. I'm hand copying sales letters every single day. I'm reading copywriting books. The grandfather of marketing, Dan Kennedy, I'm reading all his books. Russell Brunson read all those books. I'm just going into, okay, I got to learn how to copyright market, because yeah, I can be the number one speaker ever and everybody could love my message, but if I can't even get my message to you, then there's no point in me talking about it. So I had to learn these high income skills and teach people, you need to know these high income skills in order to sell whatever your product is. And that's why a lot of times I do coaching too for entrepreneurs, where I'm just helping them build their businesses too, because because your business is just an expansion of you, because that's what the spirit is meant to do. It's meant to expand. So then your business is just your spirit. That's all it is.
I love that. Your business is just your spirit. I absolutely love that. That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. I can feel your vibes and I'm just loving it. Seriously. But so with all these skills that we are talking about, right? Copywriting and sales and marketing, some people might be like, okay, sure. Like I understand that these are important skills to have, but what if I don't resonate? What if I just can't sell, or I just don't feel in alignment with that? Like, do you feel that some skills are more so, let's say, aligned with some people than the others? Or do you feel like, okay, this is crucial, and even if you don't like it, it's the same, like you might not like maths at school, or you might not like, PE or whatever, but you still got to do it because it's like crucial for your development? Do you feel like we can pick some of these skills and just like develop them so much that we don't actually need the others as well? Or do you feel like they're all so crucial to succeed, so foundational that like you can't just skip it and you have to develop them all?
No, you can definitely learn one skill and develop it so much that you make so much money that you could pay someone else for the other skills, because you're going to need the other skills eventually, regardless whether you're doing them or someone else is doing them. But you could just develop a skill so much. And this is actually what I talk about. I call it the wealth square, right? You get a job, then you learn a high income skill. You make so much money from that high income skill that you then start investing in properties or businesses, right? So you start growing your business to a big business, right? And then you take that money from the big business and start putting it into properties and real estate, stocks, and all that stuff. And then you didn't take that money, you just quit your job. That's really is. So that's is you could put it for any way you want it to. You could pay someone else to do those skills because if that may resonate. And then when you learn certain skills like selling, you could then take that and like I said, what would you do if no one else had any influence on what you did? I know a guy he's a photographer, but he's making six figures from taking pictures for people because he learned the how to sell. And he just used that to put into his photography. Now photography is a high income skill. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a matter of just you can figure out which one resonates with you and use the money to pay for the others.
Yeah, that's awesome because then it doesn't put people in this idea of like, oh no, if I'm not good at this or that, I can't make it happen, because you can just pick whatever resonates with you the most and then you go for it, right?
Yes, 100%.
That's awesome. And so what do you feel like when it comes to, let's say, each of these areas, right? Like, let's give a piece of advice for all these three things that you mentioned. Like, for example, with sales, like what is the most important thing that young entrepreneurs should know about sales?
But about sales, it goes back to, it's funny because it goes back to just personal development. They all intertwine. It's about asking the right questions. The person who talks the most is probably selling the least, to be honest with you. It's a matter of, can you ask the right questions to then open it up for the other person to, to say, oh, I need that, right? Because people hate to buy. They hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. So people love to buy, but I hate more than anything. But I just had a guy go into my DM the other day. What's this? What's your marketing plan for this? And I'm like, hey, man, you didn't even get to know me yet, right? So it's just like, hey, just back off a little bit. Like, you got to build some type of rapport before you start. So you have to earn the right to sell to me, just like you have to with a customer. You have to ask them the right questions to do that. That's one. The second one is storytelling. Because even back when we were cavemen and women or whatever, we were sitting around the little fire, just throwing stuff apart. We were telling stories, and those stories kept going with us through life. That's our way to connect on an emotional standpoint, because people buy with emotion and then they back it up with logic. I don't care that you made 10 millionaires. I don't care about that. I care about, the story. Did they come from, because they could have been 10 millionaires you made, but they were, already making $500,000 a year. Okay, well, that don't resonate with me because I was homeless before. So it's like, that doesn't resonate with me at all. But if you told me they went homeless to making multiple millions of dollars, I mean, that resonates with me more, because now I can see how I can connect with the reader. So it's storytelling, definitely. And like I said, just asking the right questions. That's all it takes.
And do you feel like these two things are also the most important in copywriting and marketing?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Storytelling is everything. Storytelling is literally everything. Russell Brunson, he uses a storyline called the Epiphany Bridge script. So how did I start my business? People love to hear how you started your business and then got to where you are. So storytelling is definitely good with marketing. And I mean, with copywriting, and then marketing is just throwing a little bit of math into it. That's all it is. It's just copywriting plus math. That's all it is.
Throwing a little bit of math. I mean, I'm not sure if I think it's a little bit, because once I tried to do like a Facebook ads course and I just literally turned it off after like 2 hours. I was like, nope, I just can't handle all these like weird letters and all these weird numbers. And then, as you said, I was just like, no, I'm just going to be a coach. I'm just going to be good at what I do. And I'm just going to afford someone to just do it for me, because like, it's honestly like not my pair of shoes. And if you say like a little bit of math, I'm thinking, it's a matter of perspective,
I mean, it's like, so the thing is though with marketing, right? So there's the paid marketing side, but a lot of times there's just the organic marketing, right? Which just comes down to getting word of mouth. Those are the best type of clients anyway. You know what I mean? How many people? I got people that joined the 2.0 challenge and they refer. They're like, oh, can I refer people? I'm like, yeah, refer anybody you want. They referred 3 people to me before they even started the challenge, right? Those are the best type of people, just getting the word of mouth and building some type of referral system for your business. That's all you got to do. And to get referrals, all it is shared space plus shared interest. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is literally in a literal sense. Remember how I told you I changed my environment, right? So when I say shared space, think about what you spend the most money on, and then look around your room, and I guarantee it's somewhere in your room. If I'm Apple, right? I got iPhone, I got tablet, I got AirPods, I got all this stuff because Apple's just all around me. So what I try to do with my clients is I try to capture their addresses, and then I send them stuff. I send them awards for doing my 2.0 challenge. They just have it hung up on their wall. Then they got my book. Then they got all this stuff. And they got my shirts, the winner's win shirt. And they're surrounded by me so much. They're like, wait, if I want to win, I just got to keep spending money with Carlos, and I have to keep trying to grow because he's going to help me get from point A to point B. You just really have to share their space. They have to see you every single day. So that's
Mm.
a that's a big tip too. That's from Dan Kennedy right there. That's a big tip. I'm telling you, your business will grow fast doing that.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've never actually heard of this before in terms of like actually like doing stuff to put your things in someone else's space, but it makes so much sense to me because like it's really about like selling and marketing and everything. It's really about people buying your vibes, right? Your energy,
Hmm.
your journey as well, your experience, like what you have learned within yourself and what you have changed within yourself, and you can help them change as well, right? So literally they buy the vibes that they get when they talk to you, they buy the energy that you're in, that they are aiming for, and so on. So if you can give them the reminders of your energy, like where they want to be, and like the reminder, okay, you're a winner, and like I'm a winner, I'm going to show you how to win, and so on. And then it's like a reminder for them, like, okay, I can do this too, and I can be surrounded by this energy of where I want to be. So then it's actually also easier for people. It's not only about you being in their subconscious mind, right? It's not about drilling into people's heads and just like for the sake of just them buying more. It's also about them embodying more and anchoring their new identity. And because you embody this identity, all your products and all your things that you're going to give them are also in a way the embodiment, the energy of the new identity that they want to create. So I really resonate with that. Thank you for sharing that. I love it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's just true. Like you said, no matter where you at, like you think you got my books. Like I spend a lot of money buying personal development books all the time because I'm surrounded by personal development, marketing books, and sales books so much that I just keep spending money on it because you spend money what you're surrounded around. I've seen it every single day. It's like eventually you can only say every no is just that closer to a yes. You can only keep saying no so many times, and then I'm sending you all this free stuff. It's like, oh wow, you know what, Carlos, he may be able to help me with my business. You know what I mean? And then there's a hierarchy. Obviously, there's marketing plan. Maybe it's just they get a subscription. Then they do some one-on-one coaching, and then masterminds, and just keep growing up and all stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a matter of just being in their shared space plus shared concern. You know what their problems are. You're here to solve them. That equals more referrals. They're going to just refer more people to you because okay, he's doing this for me. I know he could do it for someone else.
Absolutely. And it also shows that you care, right? Because if you send people and you care about them and they have so many of your things that support them on the journey, that's like caring about your client, and it's amazing.
It is.
But about this no's though, because like that's I think that in sales, like it's a big theme about getting kind of rejected, right? Getting a no. And then people who teach sales are always like, this is where the sales journey starts, when you get a no and they're kind of like excited about it and so on. But there are also many people who just starting the selling journey, let's say, and they are very thrown off by a no. So like what would be your piece of advice to these people that maybe they haven't handled the rejection yet very well, or
Yeah.
they are still kind of like, I don't know, discouraged or unmotivated by getting a no from someone?
I feel like my biggest thing is just to go back and see maybe what you did wrong to get that no, or maybe what it maybe really wasn't for them. Honestly, a lot of salespeople, even experienced ones, they get a no and then they start pressing and pressing and pressing. Well, a lot of times I'm more on this line of I'm not chasing anybody. If you want to get help, if you want to see me be on the journey that I'm on, and this here it is, I'm gonna mention it to you. But if you decide you don't want to do it, that is okay. Because if you don't want to do it, I know this isn't meant for you. And then eventually I send them this stuff because now they're on my list. They see me every day. They keep seeing my emails every month. They're getting thank you letters, Happy New Year letters, all this stuff. And they're just like, you know what? I'm ready to change my life around. I got to give it to Carlos. It doesn't cost that much money to send somebody a letter. You know what I mean? Just it's like 60 cents in the United States. It just send somebody a letter. Thank you for just being supportive of any of my products, anything at all. And just doing that stuff, just to know, like I said, don't get discouraged by it. It's just a matter of just getting in front of that person more and more times because the money's in the follow up all the time. Most people take them about 6 or 7 no's or 6 or 7 months to finally buy your product. But then after they bought your product, that may be a $10,000 product you just sold. I made $10,000 on one person. I'm cool. I'm cool for a little while. You know what I mean? So just don't take that no as discouraging. Just look maybe what you did wrong and then just keep trying to follow up on and just genuinely just care about your customer, and it will always work itself out 100% of the time.
I love that. I love this final sentence that you said. And yeah, I guess it's about the coming from service, not coming from the need. Because like then if you come from the need, you're actually really coming from fear that it's not going to work, that this person is not going to say yes. And always when you come from this kind of energy, like needy energy, attached energy, it's never really working out very well, right? Because you're trying to control everything. And if you just like take action, but also just let the outcome appear however it does, and you learn on the journey, right? You learn from your mistakes, from your lessons, then you're going to be good. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that. I really feel like I really feel motivated by you already.
That's good. That's good.
It's a good sign, right?
Yeah,
Awesome,
it is. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so one last little question to you after our whole amazing motivational conversation. What is the best way to find you and see more of your content if someone got really inspired by you and they would like to see more?
Just go to carlosjhenrywins.com. That's all it is. And you'll get everything on there. My book, it just dropped. I got to edit the site, obviously, because it just dropped. You know, the 2.0 challenge, if you want to just get a free challenge, just challenging anybody to just certain things. There's certain parameters I try to do. All information is on that site. And in my content, podcast, YouTube, everything's on there. So Carlos J. Henry Wins with a Z.com.
Okay, amazing. That's a great affirmation that you have on your website.
Yeah, I just win. That's me. Yes, man.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I really appreciate it. I absolutely love your energy, and I'm sure the audience loves it too. So thanks a lot, man. Massive gratitude to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me so much. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you so much, my dear friends, for listening to us. It's really such a pleasure to run this podcast for you. And if you'd like to know more about me, you can find me on my website, www.connectionheightandcatalyst.com. And if you'd like to learn how to manifest things into your life, how to bring your dreams into reality, let me know, because I have created my own master manifestation method where I teach you how to change your beliefs within minutes, how to transform your childhood experiences, the emotional experiences, also very, very fast within 20 or 30 minutes, which is freaking crazy because we put your brain in a state of super learning, and you can really quickly transform all the resistance that you have. And then I also teach you how to get aware of your patterns, of your behaviors, of your personality, so that it's easier for you to change your life, and how to align your life with your higher self, your goals, your choices, with the divine guidance, so that everything can flow in alignment and so easily for you in your life. So if you're interested to know more, contact me. You can also write me an email on theconnectioncatalyst@gmail.com. So thanks again for listening, and I wish you a wonderful day.